welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're looking at something pretty interesting, how using daily news can really help your English fluency.
Yeah, specifically speeding up how you speak and understand.
Exactly. We've been digging into an episode from the Daily English Boost podcast. Sarah and James, the hosts there, they share some really practical ideas for learners using the news.
hmm
So our mission today is basically to pull out the best, most effective techniques from what they discussed. Things you can start using right away to learn English, faster and more efficiently.
Okay, let's get into it.
So why news? What makes it such a good tool?
Well, one of the first things they highlight, which is, I think, fundamental, is how structured news language usually is. It's often clearer, maybe a bit more formal than, say, everyday chat.
Right. Less slang, maybe more standard sentence structures.
Exactly. That clarity is a big plus compared to, very informal stuff, or maybe fiction, which can be all over the place. It's like having a clearer map to follow.
That makes a lot of sense. They mentioned the consistency, right? Predictable patterns that make it less daunting to understand.
Spot on. You often get standard sentence structures, careful editing. It provides a kind of linguistic scaffolding.
Are there any downsides to that, like relying too much on that formal structure?
That's a fair point. I mean, while the clarity helps you get started, it might not fully prepare you for the messiness of real informal conversation, all the variations and idioms,
But balance is key.
always.
Mm.
But for efficiency, that structure is great. And another big thing Sarah and James stressed is vocabulary repetition.
Ah, yes. Especially when there's a big ongoing story.
Precisely. Elections, major international events, sports,
Yeah.
you hear those core words again and again.
So it reinforces them naturally.
Exactly. It's not like
Yeah.
drilling flashcards, it's learning through context and exposure. Very efficient.
And it's organic learning, not just lists. They also talked about just listening, right?
Mm.
How it helps your ear tune in to the natural speed of English.
Getting used to that pace is crucial. Your brain starts to recognize the patterns, the rhythm, the intonation.
How did that actually work? How do we get better at understanding faster speech?
Well, our brains are amazing pattern detectors. So consistent listening helps your auditory system get quicker at sort of segmenting the sounds into words and phrases.
Like learning a new song tempo.
Kind of, yeah. At first, it seems way too fast, but then your brain adjusts, starts to anticipate the flow. That stream of sound begins to break down into meaningful chunks.
And it's not just words in isolation. James had that great example about connected speech.
Oh, the what is it for what is it?
Yeah, how you start hearing how words blend together, what's going on there linguistically.
It's all about phonological processes.
Hmm?
Things like assimilation, where sounds change to match their neighbors, or elision, where sounds get dropped.
Like in I don't know for I don't know.
Exactly. Understanding that helps you decode fast speech, but also helps you sound more natural when you speak. It bridges that gap between textbook English and real-world spoken English.
Okay, so we get why news works. But how do we do it? They had some practical methods. The first was listen, read, speak.
Right. Breaking it down like that is really effective.
Why does that specific sequence work so well?
Well, you're hitting it from multiple angles. Listening engages your ears. Reading lets you connect the sounds to the words visually, check your understanding, and then speaking activates that knowledge.
Using different senses helps lock it in.
Definitely. Auditory, visual, kinesthetic when you speak. Plus, lots of news sources have transcripts readily available, which makes the reading part easier.
And for the speaking part.
The key is active recall. Try to summarize it or repeat key bits without just reading off the page again. Really try to produce it yourself.
Got it. Then there was shadowing. James seemed keen on that one.
Yeah, repeating almost simultaneously with the speaker.
Sounds intense. Is it hard?
It can be, yeah, especially at first. A common mistake is trying too hard to catch and understand every single word.
So what's the actual goal then, initially?
It's more about the rhythm and the flow, the intonation, mimicking the music of the language. Don't stress about missed words at the start.
Just getting the sound pattern.
Exactly, and maybe feeling a bit silly doing it. Practicing somewhere private helps, but over time, as you get used to the sounds, the comprehension follows.
Okay. And they mentioned specific resources too. BBC Learning English, VOA,
Those are great starting points, often slower and clearer.
and then things like YouTube with subtitles or the English We Speak podcast for idioms. Is it important to mix it up?
Absolutely. Using learner-focused resources builds a foundation, but then you need authentic stuff, regular news channels, podcasts to bridge the gap to, how people actually talk with all the nuances and cultural bits. Variety is key.
Makes sense. Okay, moving on to vocabulary. News is just packed with useful words, right? They listed things like inflation, negotiation, surge.
Yeah, protest, recession. These are words you actually hear and might need to use when talking about current events.
Why does vocab learned from news stick better, do you think?
Context. It's all about context. You're not learning a word in isolation. You see it used in a real story, about a real situation.
And that has more meaning.
Exactly. It connects to something real, making it easier to remember and understand how to use it, not just what it means.
And I like their practical tip.
Yeah.
The news word notebook.
Just pick maybe 3 words a day.
Note the meaning, write a sentence, and crucially,
Use them. Actively try to work them into your own speaking or writing.
like James's example, many countries are taking steps to avoid a recession. Using the word actively, how do you really push a word from just passive recognition to active use?
That active use is the critical step. Make a conscious effort. Maybe tell someone about the news story using your new words. Write a quick summary using them.
So practice producing the words yourself.
Yes, the more you retrieve and use them, the stronger that pathway in your brain becomes. Makes them easier to grab when you need them in conversation. Maybe review your notebook weekly too.
Good tip. Okay, let's talk speed. A big challenge for learners is keeping up with native speakers and not sounding slow themselves.
Definitely a common frustration.
The host said regular news practice helps combat that feeling of everything being too fast. They suggested starting slow, like with VOA learning English.
Right, and then gradually moving to faster native level stuff like CNN or NPR.
Why is that gradual progression so important?
It stops you from getting overwhelmed. You build confidence step by step. Starting slower lets your brain adapt without shutting down.
Like easing into exercise.
Exactly. You gradually increase the difficulty or speed, in this case, as you get stronger, or rather, as your processing gets faster. You build up that listening stamina.
It's motivating, too, the idea that what seems crazy fast now will eventually just feel normal.
It really does happen. Our brains adapt.
Are there other exercises besides just listening to boost that processing speed?
Well, that short news summary exercise they mentioned is excellent.
How does that work again?
After you listen to a clip, you immediately try to summarize the main points out loud in your own words.
So it forces you to process quickly and then produce.
Precisely. You have to grab the key info, structure it, find the words all quite quickly. Even if it's clumsy at first, that act of trying speeds things up over time. Note-taking while listening could also help, then reconstructing from notes.
That summary exercise sounds really active, not just passive listening.
Far from it. It pulls together comprehension, vocab, grammar, fluency, all at once. Active recall and output are much more powerful for learning.
We had that success story, right? Lewis from Brazil.
Yeah, a really compelling example using BBC's 6-Minute English.
How was his routine?
He did it daily. Listened, read the transcript, shadowed the speakers, and wrote summaries. Consistent, multifaceted practice.
Any results?
Pretty impressive. He felt things clicking after just 2 weeks, and apparently after 2 months, he could have full conversations without constantly translating in his head.
Wow. So what made his routine work so well?
I think it was the combination of activities hitting the language from different angles and the consistency, doing it every day.
That daily habit.
Yes. Even short daily sessions beat infrequent long ones. Each activity reinforced the others. Listening helped reading, shadowing helped speaking, summarizing tied it all together. It created momentum.
Okay, so let's boil this down. For you listening, what are the absolute key takeaways from this daily English boost approach? The action points.
Right. First, try to fit short news clips or articles into your day, somehow. Make it a habit.
Okay, don't just consume it passively, though.
No. Second, actively engage. Listen, read if you can, and importantly, try to speak about it. Repeat, summarize something.
Third,
Vocabulary. Consciously pick out a few new words daily from the news. Note them down, yes, but really try to use them.
make them active.
Exactly. Fourth, give shadowing a go. Don't worry about perfection, just try to mimic the rhythm and flow.
And finally,
Build confidence by summarizing. Pretend you're the reporter, tell someone the news, even just yourself. Practice speaking about it.
and a really important reminder from Sarah and James, it's absolutely okay not to understand everything at first.
Totally normal, especially when you start with faster material, focus on consistency, gradual improvement. Every little bit counts.
Definitely, don't get discouraged.
Which leads us to a final thought for you to mull over. Thinking about all these news sources and these techniques we've discussed today, the listening, reading, shadowing, summarizing, vocabulary work. How could you tailor a daily plan for yourself?
Yeah, one that fits your specific interest, the kind of news you actually like, and your current English level. How could you design your plan to make learning efficient, but also, enjoyable and something you can actually stick with long term?